identity and gang membership, what is found, what sociologists seem to find in research is that most of those who affiliate themselves with gangs lack a primary identity. You know who you are by knowing who your mother and father is. If one of them is missing, you're not fully complete. No matter how good that caregiver is throughout that child's life, with an absent mother or father, there's only so much they can do. Because what brought you into this world was a pair, and you recognize yourself by that pair, even if it's taken away from you. Okay? And this is what we need to understand with gang membership or gang affiliation. It is based upon these principles. When we look at the other aspects of the institutional stage, that is what I talked about, is the family. Okay, that's the primary socializational stage that takes place within the family. Mother, father, siblings, grandparents, extended families. When a child is amongst that form of extension, there is a harmonious balance, there is a unit, there's a form of community. Because remember, I will talk about communities later, but the first community is first established in the home. There's an internal and there's an external community. The other stage is the institutional stage, is the secondary socialization, which in actual fact is where most of our children will spend most of their time. I mean, this is what's really important. So no matter how much we can inculcate things into our children in the 6 or 8 hours that we see them, schools, youth centers, on the street, they will inculcate particular things into the children. And if there's a longer duration outside the home than inside the home, then we know exactly where the influence is coming from. And this is something that we need to recognize. Children spend most of their time outside the home or sleeping. They don't spend much time with the parents. And even if they do spend time with the parents, they're not actually spending time interacting. They're doing their own thing. Yeah? And this is a common aspect that is coming out of people who are interviewing people or youngsters who are members of gangs, where they're going home, they don't feel no family atmosphere, don't feel no love. Yeah? So it becomes problematic. They want to belong. Because as natural beings, we want to belong to something. Our first allegiance is to family. If family's not there, it's going to be the gangs. And a lot of research has been done in the United States of America, and slowly this type of thing is coming here. Yeah, a lot of these circumstances taking place in the Caribbean islands as well. So why is it there's identical in the Caribbean islands, in the Americas, in this country, that maybe black youths are going through the same thing? They come from a similar experience. Yeah, and that is with the enslavement period. What was taken away from them in those 500 years was vital to their survival. Yeah, and once that was taken away from them, they could not sustain themselves as individuals, whether they were young girls or young boys or men or women. The whole point was us to rely on someone else. And this seems to be the case when we're looking at identity, that we look upon someone else to identify who we are. Okay, I've talked about primary identity. That is with mother and father throughout the child's life, throughout the child's socialization. And like I said, children recognize themselves by their mother and their father. If one of them is absent, they're missing one aspect. No matter how good that caregiver is, there's only so much they can do. And we need to recognize this factor. What is culture? Well, culture, according to John G. Jackson, he says it's a pattern behavior. A pattern behavior is the way we conduct ourselves in society. Okay? So when we look at culture, there are 6 social constructs that make up culture. Okay? This is what culture is. And if you have any of these shared, and if you share this with anyone else, you become an ethnic group. That's what makes you an ethnic group, by sharing these qualities with somebody. I gave a training about, when was it, November, December, about 7, 8 months ago, to staff who work for Cardiff City Council. Over 20 of them of European descent. So I asked them, how many of you would claim that you're from European descent? And all 20 of them put their hands up. I said, how many of you think you're an ethnic group? And they all put their hands down. And these are people which work in race relations. These are people who actually believe that ethnicity is anyone which is other than white. This is white supremacy. There's a form of exclusivity in this type of understanding. An ethnic group means people who have these shared qualities, or these parameters which are outlined, a belief system. Most people would say, well, I don't have a religion, but you have a belief. If you don't have a religion, you certainly have a belief. You believe in something. Because it's that belief which then gives you your morals and then your value system. Okay? And then you've got your norms. These are something which is acceptable in society. It doesn't mean it's right, it doesn't mean it's wrong. It's something which is acceptable in society. Obviously you have customs. These are things which are normally annually, whether it's birthdays, Christmases, these type of things. Yeah? But what you will find in most people who don't have a religious affiliation, they will indulge in these type of ceremonial practices throughout the year. Okay? Mores at the bottom just basically means law, rights and wrongs. That society determines, or that group of people determines, what is right, what is wrong. Once these come into play, these social constructs, an identity is formulated immediately. Okay? So when parents have these type of things, when parents have a connection to these social constructs, inevitably they're able to socialize this child into a healthy being. And this is what we must understand. They must have structure. Okay? And it's not just children who need structure, adults need structure as well. Okay? Because sometimes we're affected by the same system that our youngsters are affected by when we were young. And we still carry that aftermath. So we must recognize that it affects us too. When we look at the pattern behavior, and we look at the process of socialization, when children learn things, they learn things from two aspects. Instruction, what we tell them, what we teach them. Imitation, what they copy. So it's important that we conduct ourselves within the homes in a particular way, even if you have to be hypocritical to do it, just so that kids will see a good aspect or the good side of ourselves. So imitation is something, and this seems to be the driving force for a lot of the gang members, it's imitation. It's not instruction, it's imitation, copying, they're seeing things. There are influences out there which is encourage them to go into that realm, and we need to understand this. Children learn by imitation. Psychologists had done studies in the 1960s when they looked at this. It's called social learning theory. And what they actually found from some of the studies, psychologists, is that when children see adults doing a particular thing which is wrong, because they feel that adults are in an authoritative position, they think it's okay. Swearing is one aspect. As when children hear their parents swearing, they think it's okay, even though they know it's wrong. So children do imitate. And this is the strongest aspect of socialization that children go through, even ourselves sometimes. It's through imitation. We see with the cosmetic industry, same things, imitation. There's a lot, I think the statistic is 40, 90, 96%. There was a study which was done 18 months ago. 96% of white women in Britain, 96% of white women in Britain don't like their body, don't like their hair, don't like the way they look. 96% of these are women who claim to be liberated, but they don't like themselves. And this is where is a problem. If we look at the cosmetic industry, for instance, why are these women wanting to look other than what they are? Because to be like is to be like someone else. But the person they want to be like don't even want to be like themselves. So that's what I mean, that there's this aspect of a spoiled identity, a confusion. Because why? Because obviously we have the media, we have all these elements playing in society, yeah? And while it's taking place, subliminally, we are imitating the message. We are taking in this thing unknowingly, and then we're acting out. So it's important that when we look and we're looking at structure, and we're looking at socialization, and we're looking at identity, those social constructs must be in play. And there must be an agreement within the home between the husband or the wife, or the mother or the father, about how it's going to shape not just them but their children in the home. So a belief system must be the principle, or must be the foundation of it all, and then a moral system must come out of it. There is a way you want a child or yourselves to be, or you want them to conduct themselves within the home and outside the home. Okay? The value system is something which is very important to you. Yeah? So what is your value system? Some cultures' value system is marriage. In other systems, it's music. Yeah? With other people, it's money. So you can see amongst different racial groups or ethnic groups, they all have a particular value system. But a value system that someone has must be something which is progressive. It must build you, not destroy you. So value must build you, not destroy you. Norms, like I said earlier, this is something which is acceptable by the society. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's right, it doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong. What is normal? Acceptable. Customs, mores, which I've already explained. Right. What does an identity do? It develops a sense of independence. You know who you are. You know what you can achieve. When you have that extended family around you, if you have pioneers or entrepreneurs within your family, then you know you can make it. Because you can see visually that it can be done. Okay? Then this is one of the reasons why I'm writing a book on role models, because this is one of the questions, especially for the African Caribbean community, they need to look at these realities, especially white women who are having children from mixed backgrounds and stuff like that. Yeah, they need this ammunition. They need to understand what is taking place in society and what is taking place in the minds of their children. It develops the individual. Why does it develop the individual? Because they have a sense of belonging. They belong to a larger group, a collective. Because sometimes as individuals, we recognize ourselves from a collective, not as individuals. And this is why a lot of our youngsters are joining gangs. Because they want to be part of a collective. Because the first collective has refused to have them, or to structure them, or to shape them, which is the family. So they're going to look for another family. Yeah? And this is what you will see. You will see the relationship in the Caribbean islands, in the Americas, in this country. You see the same pattern of behavior manifesting, taking place all the time. Yeah? With the same repercussions. Criminality. Yeah? Incarceration. Yeah? Another fatherless child, etc., etc. Yeah? So this is what we need to understand at the beginning, that identity is an important factor. It doesn't just build the person, it builds the next generation as well. Because if a child doesn't have a primary identity and it reaches a particular age, whether it's male or female, and it becomes parents, what is it going to inculcate into the next generation? Is it going to be the same thing that is repeating itself all the time? So we need to understand these factors. Why does it establish self-esteem? Because you know who you are. People who have self-esteem know who they are. They know where they come from. They know where they belong. We don't belong to each other as individuals. We belong to collectives. We belong to something or someone. Okay? It builds confidence. That basically speaks for itself. And it strengthens the code of conduct. Why does it strengthen the code of conduct? Because the social constructs, which I've just told you, come into play. Okay? A way one conducts themselves in life. Yeah? Right, social identity. So what does the word social identity actually mean? Social identity refers to the characteristics that are attributed to an individual by others. Okay? So this is what it means. It's an external definition. Okay? So we must recognize that. So when you fill out the census forms, it's a social identity. It's a form of an imposition. It's been imposed upon you. Okay? That because it's a social identity. It comes from society. What makes things society and social is interaction. That's what social basically means, a form of interaction. Once you have two people, you have a society. Because there's an element of interaction. But in order for interaction to have, you have to have some cooperation. You have to have some sense of trust. And this is what I'll talk about later, about networks and businesses. Okay? There's another diagram which I'm showing you how it works, the internal and the external definition. So like I said, the external definition, those people who define you, it's a social identity. And internal definition is a personal identity, not an individual. Personal identity. It comes from you. It comes from the primary aspect, your mother and your father, your siblings. And then it builds out of that into the extended family. So once all that is being structured, the person is then able to go out into society and challenge society because it belongs to a larger unit. Okay? And this is what's important. Right. This is another aspect of showing you what social identity can also mean in our society. So like I said, it's never fixed. Yeah, it's always on the move. So being married is a form of a social identity because you belong to a part of a unit. Student becomes a social identity. You become part of an institution. Mother, you become part of an institution. Christian, sister, these are all institutional based. A family is an institution. The oldest institution known to man is the family. It's the husband and the wife.